Here we have a Razer laptop that came in for no power. Customer said in the ticket, circuit fried. I do not know what circuit fried means, but we're gonna take a look. We already disassembled the board. We tried to power on the laptop and there are no signs of life at all. No lights, no fan, no backlight, nothing. Dead. So we have the board out and we're gonna quickly go over the board and see if we can figure this out. As you know, we cannot get any circuit diagrams or board view diagrams for this laptop, but we're gonna work on it just like any other laptop based on our experience working on laptops. We may be able to figure it out or we may not be able to figure it out. We're gonna see. So the first thing I want to do is start with the charging cable, which is right here. There's a cable. You connect the charging adapter here, and that charging adapter will supply 19 volts onto the board. And right next to that connector, we have a fuse. We have Mosfets. We have one Mosfet here, some capacitors. Just quickly looking at the board to get an idea, and you cannot see a thing. Now you can. So that's the connector, the fuse. We have two MOSFETs, and I can tell there was work that was done to this laptop. You can tell by this solder joint and smudges of flux. I do not know if there's anything else that was done to this motherboard, but we do see signs of solder and flux here. We have another fuse here. The MOSFET, capacitors. So right now, it's impossible to know what's going on unless we do some measurements. And even if we did do measurements, it's going to be hard to really figure out, or it may not be possible to figure out why this board is not powering on. But we're going to do our best based on our scope of knowledge and limited resources that we have for this laptop. I'm just quickly going over the motherboard, visual inspection. I want to see if there's any work that was done to this board prior to this laptop being shipped here. The customer actually mailed two Razer laptops and not one. So that's the first one. I do not know if we can combine the other one in this video, but we'll see. I have a lot of things on my bench that we need to get done, and we may or may not include another one in this video. Because anytime I include more than one repair in the video, it takes longer to edit the video, and I have limited time at night to edit the video, upload the video, create thumbnails for the video, and then wait until the video uploads to YouTube. Sometimes I wait for it until 2, 3 o'clock until the video uploads before I go to sleep. So the longer the video, the more it takes to edit. Unfortunately, there's no such thing as a perfect video where you do not have to edit. I get interrupted a lot in the shop here. And sometimes maybe I'm looking for a component. It takes me a few minutes to look for that component. I do not want to leave it in the video. A lot of viewers, they like the videos because they are short, simple, and straight to the point. And that comes with work. You have to edit to make the videos short, simple, and straight to the point. It doesn't just happen by itself. So nothing. I do not see anything wrong with the board as far as visual inspection goes. Right now, we're going to start with this charging connector. We can plug the charging cable, and then we can measure to see if we have 19 volts. If not, then it could be that we may have a short circuit on the board. Short circuit is very well known with Asus laptops, but I have not seen many with Razer laptops. Only Asus. You pay $2,000 for a laptop and you can expect it to fail on you after a year. Some people tell me 2 years, some people 3 years. But I see it a lot. We get Asus laptops in every single day. Next one up that we get in a lot is HP Spectre. Next one up, Dell, MSI. And the least that we see here would probably be Lenovo and Razer. But Asus number one. I have nothing against Aces, but that's the honest truth. Okay, so meter in voltage mode. And sometimes we get comments also that people want to see the readings of the multimeter on the screen. Just trust me. Just trust what I'm telling you, and you should be good. I'm reading 16 volts, 16.6 here, 16.5 here. I do not know if it's normal to read 16 rather than 19. Oh, here, 19, 19.25. So why was it reading 16 before? 19.29. Okay, good. Strange. It was reading 16 before and then it jumped up to 19. Let me unplug and plug the power cable again. And let's see. Is that a normal behavior? Look at this, 15.4. 15.0, 14.9, 14.8. It's going down. 13.9. What the? 19.25. So there's something going on. It's starting out at 14 volts, 15 volts, and then it's going up to 19.25 volts. Let's do this one more time. And just look at the multimeter here, if you can read it. I'll try to zoom in to that meter. Look at this, 16.9, 19.26. I do not know what's causing that, but we're going to find out. We're going to see if we can find out. I want to test the Mosfets that we see on the right here. What readings do we get on the drain of this Mosfet? 19.29, that's perfect. And what about the second one? 19.29, very good. We have 19.29 here. And I do not know if we're supposed to get anything here or on the 0.7, 0.717, and probably nothing here. 0 here. Okay. Let me unplug. We have an idea. Voltage is going in, and we see 19 volts on both MOSFETs here, drain and source, which means our gate is working, because if gate is not working, then voltage is not going to pass between drain and source. Current sense resistor, we have more caps here, and I noticed one other dual MOSFET somewhere on the circuit here. I want to test it. This one here. Let's measure pin number 1 in diode mode. Whoa, whoa, we have a short. We have a short. That could be our problem. Let me desolder the MOSFET and see if we still have a short. The short could be the MOSFET itself, or it could be something else causing this pin number 1 on the MOSFET, to go short. We do not know. That may or may not be the problem, but we're gonna have to take it one step at a time. Let's see, are we feeling lucky today? We're gonna measure pin number 1, but let me just apply solder quick, because we're gonna have to do it anyway. And let's see. Do we have a short? Do we still have a short? On pin number 1. And the short is gone. You see? The short is gone. Right here, pin number 1. Gone. The short is gone. Wow, that was quick. I hope that fixes the problem. We're gonna get a replacement MOSFET. Let's get rid of the axis. and we'll test again. And let's test. Do we still have a short on pin number 1? We should not. 0.48, that's perfect. We reassembled the board and it's a no-go. Let's go over the board one more time and see if we can figure it out. I got the battery with me right here, and we're gonna attempt to see how the board behaves when we do not have the battery plugged in, and when we have the battery plugged in. The power button is on the back, so we can manually press that button. We do not have to have any flex cables connected. We can press it here to turn it on or off. And that's what I want to do. I did some quick measurements when Big Boss was reassembling, but I need more details. I have the charging cable plugged in right here. And we're going to monitor the board under a thermal camera and see if anything on the board is getting hot. With the battery disconnected and the charging cable connected, I'm looking at the board. The board goes like this, all the way here and here. I see nothing hot on the board. Nothing at all. So no indication of a direct short caused by the power adapter being plugged in. Now let's plug the battery in and we're gonna try again. I have the battery right here, and the battery connects on the board like this. Okay, and then we're gonna monitor the board under the thermal camera and see what's going on. The battery connector is right here, and now look at this. Now we see something hot right over here. It's not normal for something to get hot on the board when the battery is plugged in. Otherwise, the battery is gonna drain quick. When the battery is connected and the laptop is off, nothing on the board should get hot. We have heat right here. And if we flip the board, we see heat right here as well. If I point with my plastic spudger, that's an ISL chip. It's a charging management IC. So the problem could be the battery charging IC, which is this one here, or it could be one of the components in this area. Let me point my plastic spudger. Specifically this chip, that's the inductor. The inductor is not gonna go bad. And we have a Mosfet here that we measured earlier. It's not the one that we replaced, but another one where we had 19 volts on one end and we had 0.7 volts on the other end. That's the one. But we can tell that heat is not coming specifically from that MOSFET. It's rather coming from this other MOSFET. There's a tiny one here. So right now our problem could be this tiny QFN that we have here, or it could be the ISL chip that we have on the back here. It has to be one of the two, and most likely the ISL chip on the back here, most likely. ISL chips can fail very quickly, they're very fragile, and right now there's a big chance that our ISL chip is bad. But which ISL chip is it? We have ISL 625 now, we have ISL 6258, we have a couple of ISL chips in stock here, but there are a lot of different ISL chips in the market, and we do not have every single one of them. Let's take a look at this one. This one is ISL 9552. I do not believe that we have 9552. I will look. But before we assume that the 9552 chip is bad, let's take a look at the area that also got hot from front of the board, the MOSFET. That's the one that we replaced. That's not the one that is getting hot. This one here. That's the MOSFET that is getting hot. Actually, a tiny line here is getting hot. And this MOSFET is what's actually getting hot, and a tiny bit on the coil. coil is not going to go bad. We're going to measure this MOSFET just to see if the MOSFET is okay. I want to measure for a short. I already did, but we're going to go over it one more time. If we measure the source or the gate, 0.68, 0.485, and 0.4. If we measure between gate and source, we do not have a short, and if we measure between gate and drain, we do not have a short, so most likely our MOSFET is good. And if we did the same thing here, no short, no short, no short. Let's do this. Why don't we desolder this MOSFET here and we'll monitor again. Let's remove this. I'm sure we can get this chip off any one of the motherboards that we have here. Probably a PlayStation board. I've seen it before. I do not use this chip often, but I've seen it on either the Xbox or the PlayStation motherboard. It's the Z340. The chip is out, and I want to place the chip somewhere where we do not lose it, because it's tiny, and even if you put it on the bench 1 second later, you're gonna forget about it, and the chip is gonna be lost forever. It's gonna rest in peace in the 9th dimension. We already applied hot air, so we're gonna find a hot spot on the board. We do not want that, so we're gonna have to wait a couple of minutes maybe. Alright, so let's see. I'm gonna plug the battery. Battery connector is right here, and the chip that we removed is right here. Right now we do not have heat anymore. And if we look on back of the board, our ISL chip, nothing. It could be, however, that we do not have heat on our ISL because the chip is needed for the fault to be detected on ISL. That's very possible. But right now we're gonna assume the problem is this chip. It's not normal for the chip to get hot when the battery is plugged in. I still think that our problem is the ISL chip, even though we do not have heat anymore. I have a PS4 board right next to me here, and I remember that we may have one right over here, if I'm not mistaken, because I worked with that chip before. Z342, most likely the same chip. 342, 340. What's it to between friends, right? If I gave you $1 million, or I gave you 1 million and $2. Totally irrelevant example. Just trying to make a joke. Let's wait for the board to cool down a bit, and we'll try again. And what do we have? And we have the same problem, which is likely the ISL chip. I was able to locate the chip. I do have a 9552 chip right here on the bench, and we're gonna go ahead and replace the chip and see if that will solve the problem. We're gonna remove this one. We suspect that this one is bad. The chip is out. And we're good. Battery is plugged in. Now look at this. The battery is connected right here. And we do not have any heat on this area anymore. If we go back of the board to check on the ISL chip, the ISL chip is right over here. That's the one that we just soldered. And look at that. No heat. Nothing. We are not getting any heat anymore. And just like I suspected, the problem is the ISL chip. I took a few minutes to reassemble the laptop. Big Boss already left. And as you can see here, I reassembled the board, plugged in a few cables. If I press on the power button, it looks like no signs of life. Yeah, no signs of life. Nothing. And is the CPU hot? No. GPU? No. Let's take a look under our thermal camera and see what's going on. So our battery connector is plugged in here. Our charging cable right here. Our CPU, GPU, PCH, and absolutely nothing hot on the board at all. Battery is plugged in. Absolutely nothing hot on the board at all. Let me try to power the laptop on, and we're gonna monitor the board and see if the laptop is in fact trying to power on. I just pressed on the power button. And I actually see something. PCH is getting a little bit hot. Nothing else on the board. And it just went off. PCH got hot a bit and then it went off. All right, let's do this one more time. I'm gonna press on the power button. See? Look at this. As soon as I press the power button, you see some heat on the PCH chip, and then it goes away. Watch. And it just faded away. So what does that mean? It means we either have a problem with our PCH chip or we have a problem with our CPU. That's it. We're going to end the video right here. I hope you enjoyed it, even though it's a no fix. Let me know what you think. Leave it down in the comments. And if you have any other question not relating to this repair, you can always leave it on our forums. Log in to NorthridgeFix.com, click on forum, and you can leave whatever question you have. I will try to answer you whenever I have time. Or we have a lot of smart people on the forum that may be able to help you or answer your questions. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll do something else in the next video.